You've probably heard all the hype about bone broth. People say it's the miracle food for strength, joints, and recovery. But let me tell you something that might surprise you. Forget bone broth because there's another food out there that doesn't just support your muscles. It actually helps build them and can fight off one of the biggest problems we face as we age, sarcopenia. And if you've never heard that word before, stick around because once you understand what it means and how this one simple food can protect you from it, you're going to look at your diet in a whole new way. Now let's set the stage. Sarcopenia is a fancy medical term, but what it really means is muscle loss as we get older. Think about it. How many times have you seen an older relative who used to be strong and energetic, but now struggles to climb stairs, carry groceries, or even get up from a chair? That's sarcopenia in action. It creeps up on people slowly, and by the time you notice, it's already taken a huge toll on strength, balance, and independence. The scary part is that it doesn't just affect people in their 70s or 80s. It can start as early as your 40s if you're not careful. But here's the good news. It's not inevitable. You can prevent it and you can even reverse it. And the food I'm about to share with you is one of the most powerful weapons you have against it. See, muscle loss isn't just about vanity. It's not just about looking toned or having abs. Your muscle tissue is literally your body's engine. It burns calories even when you're sitting still. It protects your bones from breaking. It stabilizes your joints and it keeps your metabolism alive and kicking. When you start losing muscle, everything else follows: your energy, your mobility, even your brain health. That's why sarcopenia is linked not just to weakness but also to falls, fractures, diabetes, and even dementia. So when I tell you that there's a food that can directly protect your muscles, this isn't about looking good in the mirror. It's about living longer, stronger, and healthier. So what's this food that beats bone broth? It's eggs. That's right, the humble egg. Nature's complete package of muscle-building nutrients. You might be thinking, really, eggs? But hear me out, because the science behind this is jaw-dropping. Bone broth, as trendy as it is mostly collagen. And collagen is a structural protein great for skin elasticity and joint support, but when it comes to building actual muscle tissue, collagen falls short. It doesn't contain the full range of essential amino acids your muscles need for growth and repair. On the other hand, eggs are one of the highest quality sources of protein on the planet, packed with all 9 essential amino acids in the exact ratio your body needs to build muscle efficiently. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The protein in eggs isn't just high quality, it's incredibly bioavailable. That means your body can absorb and use it better than almost any other protein source. Scientists actually use eggs as the gold standard to measure protein quality in other foods. So when you eat an egg, you're getting muscle-building power in its most usable form. And if you're worried about cholesterol, don't be. Modern research has shown that eating whole eggs doesn't raise your risk of heart disease the way we once thought. In fact, the yolk is where most of the nutrients are hiding: vitamin D, choline, omega-3, antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, all of which play a role not just in muscle health but in brain function, energy levels, and overall vitality. Let's talk about why eggs are a game-changer for preventing sarcopenia. As we age, our muscles become less sensitive to protein. This means you can eat the same amount of protein you did in your 20s, but your muscles won't respond the same way. It's called anabolic resistance, and it's one of the key drivers of sarcopenia. But here's the catch. You can overcome anabolic resistance by eating high-quality leucine-rich protein. Leucine is the amino acid that flips the switch for muscle growth, and eggs are loaded with it. Just a couple of eggs at breakfast can provide enough leucine to trigger muscle protein synthesis, especially when combined with resistance exercise. Imagine this. You're in your 40s, 50s, maybe 60s, and you start your day with a couple of boiled eggs, maybe an omelette with veggies or scrambled eggs with a side of avocado. Right there, you're giving your muscles the signal they need to grow stronger instead of weaker. Compare that to sipping bone broth, which might give you a bit of comfort, but barely nudges the muscle-building machinery. One choice keeps you in control of your strength and independence. The other leaves you vulnerable to slow decline. But it doesn't stop there. Eggs are not only powerful for their protein content, they're also one of the richest natural sources of vitamin D, and vitamin D is absolutely critical for muscle strength and function. Low vitamin D is directly linked to frailty, falls, and yes, sarcopenia. Think about it. How many people do you know who are deficient in vitamin D? Probably most of them. Now imagine how much stronger they'd feel if they simply included eggs regularly in their diet. You're not just feeding your muscles, you're nourishing your bones, your nerves, and your brain all at once. Here's another thing you might not know. Sarcopenia doesn't just steal your strength, it also steals your confidence. People start to avoid activities they once loved because they're afraid of falling or because they just don't have the stamina. That spiral leads to less movement, which accelerates the muscle loss even more. Eggs with their dense nutrient profile provide the kind of fuel that keeps you energized and motivated to stay active. And when you pair that with regular resistance training like lifting weights or even simple bodyweight exercises, the effect is amplified. You're not just slowing down sarcopenia, you're reversing it. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine two people, both in their 60s. One has been following the latest health fads, drinking bone broth, avoiding eggs because of outdated cholesterol fears, and doing mostly cardio workouts. The other makes eggs a staple, focuses on resistance training, and embraces protein-rich meals. Fast forward 10 years. The first person is struggling with weakness, maybe using a cane, feeling tired and dealing with aches and pains. The second person still walking strong, carrying groceries, traveling, playing with grandkids, maybe even still hitting the gym. That's the difference eggs can make. Not because there's some magical cure, but because they provide the exact raw materials your body needs to stay strong and youthful. I know what some of you are wondering. How many eggs should you eat? The answer depends on your overall diet and lifestyle, but research suggests that 2 to 3 eggs per day is perfectly safe for most people and provides incredible benefits. Athletes and older adults working to fight sarcopenia may even benefit from more as long as it fits within their overall protein goals. And remember, the yolk is not your enemy. That's where the magic is. If you're only eating egg whites, you're throwing away half the nutrition. Embrace the whole egg because nature designed it to be a complete package. Let's talk about practicality for a second. Eggs are affordable. They're easy to cook and they're versatile. You can boil them, scramble them, poach them, make omelets, bake with them, or even add them to smoothies if you're adventurous. Unlike bone broth, which takes hours to prepare and often comes in expensive store-bought cartons, eggs are accessible to almost everyone. And because they're so quick to cook, they're one of the easiest ways to make sure you're getting high-quality protein at every meal. But here's where the story gets even more powerful. Muscle isn't just about protein, it's also about recovery and repair. When you work out, you create tiny tears in your muscle fibers. Those fibers rebuild stronger when they have the right nutrients. Eggs provide not only protein but also key micronutrients like zinc and selenium, which are crucial for recovery. That's why athletes for decades have sworn by eggs as a post-workout food. And if they're good enough to help athletes recover from intense training, imagine what they can do to help you maintain strength as you age. Let's connect this back to sarcopenia in a more personal way. Think about the things you want to do later in life. Maybe travel, dance at your granddaughter's wedding, play golf, go hiking, or simply live independently without relying on others. All of that depends on muscle. The more muscle you have now, the more reserve you build up for later. Eggs aren't going to do the work for you. You still need to move your body and challenge your muscles, but they are the fuel that makes the work count. Without them, you're leaving gains on the table. With them, you're stacking the deck in your favor. I want you to take a moment and really let this sink in. You don't have to accept sarcopenia as your fate. You don't have to watch your strength and independence slip away year after year. By making simple, smart choices like prioritizing eggs over bone broth, you can take control of your health and rewrite the story of aging. Stronger muscles mean stronger bones, better balance, a faster metabolism, sharper thinking, and a higher quality of life. And eggs are one of the simplest, most powerful tools you have to protect it. When most people think about building muscle and fighting off sarcopenia, their minds jump immediately to protein shakes, strength training routines, maybe even supplements that promise muscle growth. And while those things do play important roles, there's a hidden factor that often gets overlooked. Something so basic and so fundamental that without it, your muscles simply cannot perform at their best. I'm talking about hydration and electrolyte balance. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, oh, here we go again, Another reminder to drink water. Let me stop you right there, because what I'm about to share goes way deeper than just sipping water throughout the day. Hydration isn't just about avoiding thirst. It's about fueling the very chemistry that makes your muscles contract, recover, and grow. And when we talk about preventing sarcopenia, which is the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength, getting hydration and electrolytes right might be one of the most underrated yet powerful strategies you can use. Let's break it down in a simple way. Your muscles are made up of about 75% water. That means every single time you lift a weight, climb stairs, or even just get out of a chair, the water inside your muscle fibers is helping power that movement. Water isn't passive. It acts as the medium where all the electrical signals, chemical reactions, and nutrient transfers happen. If you're even slightly dehydrated, your muscle cells lose volume. They can't contract as effectively, and your strength drops. In fact, research shows that even a 1 to 2% decrease in hydration levels can lead to noticeable losses in endurance, strength, and coordination. Now imagine what happens over months and years. If someone is chronically underhydrated, their muscles are never functioning at full capacity. Recovery is slowed down, and over time the decline feeds directly into sarcopenia. It's not just about age, it's about environment, daily habits, and whether or not you're giving your muscles the water they need to thrive. But here's where the story gets even more fascinating. Water alone is not the whole picture. You can drink liters of plain water, but if your electrolytes are out of balance, your muscles won't perform. Electrolytes are minerals like sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and chloride that carry electrical charges. Think of them as the sparks that ignite muscle contractions. Every single time you flex your bicep, stand up from a chair, or push through a workout, your brain sends a signal through your nerves to your muscle fibers. That signal tells your muscle to contract, and the way it actually happens is through the movement of electrolytes across cell membranes. Sodium moves in, potassium moves out, calcium floods the cell to trigger contraction, and magnesium helps relax the muscle afterward. Without the right balance of these minerals, the whole system falls apart. That's why dehydration often comes with muscle cramps, weakness, or even dizziness. Your electrolytes are disrupted and your muscles can't fire properly. Now think about sarcopenia. We know that as people age, their muscles become less responsive to protein. Their recovery slows down, and their strength naturally declines if they don't intervene. But what's often overlooked is that older adults are also at higher a risk of both dehydration and electrolyte imbalances. The sense of thirst weakens with age, so many older people simply don't feel thirsty even when they're dehydrated. On top of that, medications for blood pressure, diabetes, or heart conditions can deplete key electrolytes like potassium and magnesium. Combine all of this and you have the perfect storm for accelerated muscle decline. If someone is not paying attention to hydration and electrolytes, even the best diet and exercise routine won't give them the results they could be getting. So let's imagine this in real life. Picture two people in their 60s, who both start a resistance training program to fight off muscle loss. One drinks water throughout the day, but doesn't think about electrolytes. They might get cramps during workouts, feel fatigued more easily, and struggle to recover. The other makes hydration a priority, and ensures they're getting electrolytes from their diet. Foods rich in potassium like bananas, avocados, and sweet potatoes, magnesium from leafy greens and nuts, calcium from dairy, or fortified alternatives, and enough sodium to support performance without going overboard. This second person's workouts feel smoother, recovery is faster, and over time they gain and preserve more muscle. The difference might not be obvious after 1 week, but over months and years it translates into stronger muscles, better balance, and greater independence. Hydration and electrolytes also affect muscle protein synthesis directly. When your muscle cells are hydrated, they create an environment where protein-building enzymes work more effectively. In other words, when your muscles are well hydrated, the protein you eat is more likely to be used for building muscle instead of just being burned for energy. On the flip side, dehydration signals stress inside the cell, and the body may actually break down muscle protein faster. That's exactly what you don't want if you're trying to fight sarcopenia. It's not just about eating more protein, it's about creating the conditions where that protein actually gets used for growth. And hydration is one of those key conditions. Another underrated piece of this puzzle is blood flow. Water and electrolytes determine your blood volume and circulation. If you're dehydrated, your blood becomes thicker. Your heart has to work harder, and oxygen and nutrients don't get delivered to your muscles as efficiently. Recovery slows down, soreness lingers, and workouts feel harder than they need to. On the other hand, when you're properly hydrated and your electrolyte balance is on point, blood flows freely, nutrients reach your muscles quickly, and waste products like lactic acid are cleared more efficiently. That's why athletes in every sport pay close attention, not just to hydration but also to electrolyte replenishment, especially after sweating. It's also why older adults who may not sweat as much, but still lose fluids, can feel fatigued or weak, without realizing the real cause is a hydration imbalance. Let's talk about magnesium for a second, because this is one mineral that's often overlooked, but is absolutely crucial for muscle health. Magnesium is involved in more than 300 biochemical reactions in the body, including muscle relaxation. Without enough magnesium, muscles stay tense, recovery slows down, and cramps become common. Low magnesium levels are widespread, partly because our modern diets don't include as many magnesium-rich foods as they used to. And here's the kicker. When magnesium is low, the effectiveness of other electrolytes like calcium and potassium is reduced. It's like trying to run a car engine with one faulty spark plug. The whole system underperforms. If you're serious about building muscle and preventing sarcopenia, paying attention to magnesium through diet or supplementation can make a huge difference. Sodium also deserves a mention here, because for years people have been told to cut back on salt at all costs. While excessive sodium can indeed be harmful, especially for people with high blood pressure, the truth is that sodium is absolutely essential for muscle contraction and nerve signaling. Athletes often know this intuitively, which is why sports drinks contain sodium to replace what's lost in sweat. For older adults who may not sweat as much, sodium still plays a vital role in maintaining fluid balance and preventing muscle weakness. The key isn't to avoid sodium altogether, it's to keep it in balance with other electrolytes. Too much sodium without enough potassium leads to fluid retention and high blood pressure, but the right balance supports muscle function and overall health. And let's not forget potassium, the mineral that works hand in hand with sodium to regulate muscle contractions. Potassium is also one of the most common deficiencies worldwide. Low potassium can lead to muscle weakness, cramps, and even heart rhythm problems. Yet most people aren't eating nearly enough potassium-rich foods. Bananas get all the attention, but the truth is that foods like spinach, beans, avocados, and salmon are far richer sources. When you consistently include these foods in your diet, you're not just supporting heart health, you're actively fueling the muscle contractions that keep you strong and protect you from sarcopenia. So how do you put all of this into practice? It starts with being intentional. Don't just drink water when you're thirsty. Make hydration part of your daily routine. Aim for steady intake throughout the day instead of chugging large amounts all at once. Pay attention to the color of your urine. It should be a pale yellow, not dark or completely clear. Then focus on whole foods that naturally provide electrolytes. Leafy greens, nuts, seeds, dairy, fruits, and vegetables all contribute. And if you're exercising hard, sweating a lot, or living in a hot climate, consider replenishing with an electrolyte drink. Not the sugar-loaded ones, but options that provide sodium, potassium, and magnesium in balanced amounts. Remember, fighting sarcopenia is about stacking the odds in your favor. You already know resistance training and protein are important, but hydration and electrolytes are the silent partners that make those strategies work better. Muscles can't fire, grow, or repair without them. They may not be flashy or trendy, but they are absolutely foundational. And the best part is you don't need anything exotic or expensive to get them right. Just consistent hydration, a nutrient diet, and awareness of how your body feels day to day. When you think about the long game of aging well, every choice matters. The choice to move your body, the choice to eat high-quality protein, the choice to sleep enough, and yes, the choice to stay hydrated and maintain electrolyte balance. It's the combination of these choices that adds up to stronger muscles, better performance, and a future where sarcopenia doesn't dictate how you live your life. Most people think about muscle growth or protecting their strength as they age. They focus on the big things: protein workouts, supplements, maybe even hormones. And while those factors do matter, there's another piece of the puzzle that often gets ignored. Something that quietly makes or breaks your progress. I'm talking about inflammation, and more specifically, how the foods you eat can either fuel inflammation that breaks down muscle, or calm it down to support muscle growth, repair, and long-term function. The truth is, your muscles are living tissue constantly being broken down and rebuilt. Every workout you do creates tiny tears in your muscle fibers. Your body responds with inflammation, which is actually part of the healing process. But here's the catch. When inflammation becomes chronic, when it lingers at low levels day after day, it starts to interfere with recovery. It accelerates muscle breakdown, and it paves the way for sarcopenia, the age-related muscle loss that robs people of their independence as they get older. And here's where diet comes in. Anti-inflammatory foods are one of the most powerful underrated tools.